Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Another profound episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. So this is by me, Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul, and today we have a truly unique and inspiring guest who I met. It's been like it's been nearly
many times,
many months ago. Go at least in 2023, I think, when I heard her story at a meetup at a great organization called Seeking Discomfort for their book launch secretly. But when I heard her story, I knew I had to get her on the podcast because she is creating a platform that helps people ensure no words are left unspoken. She's a life enthusiast who has embarked on an extraordinary journey in the death tech industry. Her platform, Last Farewells, is designed to help people craft last letters, last videos, lifetimes, and more, provide a space for meaningful goodbyes and heartfelt memories. Her path was ignited by a deeply personal experience, the unexpected passing of her father, which we'll get into when she was just 18. The profound loss led her to save his last voicemail, which continues to be a source of comfort a decade later. This experience inspired her to help others preserve precious moments and words through last farewells. With a degree in tourism and hospitalities and having traveled to over 50 countries, I'm very jealous, she has developed a deep empathy that has driven her success in various roles, including marketing, human resources, and event planning. As a proud first-generation Nicaraguan American, she honors her parents' sacrifices and aims to help people worldwide grieve and celebrate lives better. Please welcome, and it is truly an honor to have Estrella on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was such a great intro. First of all, that was like a movie. It's like I was like winning an award show. That's what I pictured. Like they're announcing me.
There you go. Well, now you at least know you have your announcement speech when you do win for amazing new product.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, quick note, it's Estrella. The L's make a Y sound in Spanish. Yeah. No worries. No. I get it every time, so I'm all good. I'm super used to it. But thank you for having me here. Wow, this is so cool. I needed that. That was like a really good hype moment.
There you go. That's what I'm here for, to hype you up, because you're the star of the show. And I want to, like you mentioned, like I mentioned, we met months ago, and it was really cool. I got really inspired, and I knew exactly who I wanted to introduce you to. But also, I wanted to get you on the podcast because you're in like I said, the death tech. Like, this is, no one likes talking about this, right? It's a very unusual area, and I love how you took a pain to make it into a personal journey to help others. But was there any other reasons you wanted to get into the entrepreneurial world, or were you content before your father's passing that you were going to be a 9-to-5er?
Oh my gosh, I like this question. When I was 8, I wrote myself 12. I wrote a letter to my future self as part of a 6th grade class assignment. And it was like, what do you want to do when you're older? And I don't know why. I just never thought entrepreneurship was in my, I didn't think I just remembered this the other day. But what I wrote down was that I wanted to create candy worlds because I loved candy. And I wanted to make it look like the globe, and then gather a lot of candy and different chocolates from around the world, and then have it inside this globe and have different sections. Like, you can go to Egypt and try their candy, go to Japan and try their candy, and just like a place where it's candy worlds. And I drew it on this letter, and because I just liked candy, I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I didn't know about Epcot, I didn't know about Disney World having like that go around the world. But when I went to Epcot, I'm like, wait, that's my idea. Anyways, that was totally forgotten, because when I graduated high school and my dad passed away, and when I went to university, there was nothing of entrepreneurship on my mind. I had no idea. I was just like, all right, I'll get this degree. All right, I just need a job, I guess, to cover the student loans. Oh, but I want to do a cool job, so let me work at this travel agency. Oh, it's not as cool as I had hoped it was for me. You know what? Let me go try this employee engagement role, because I love talking with my employees, and if I get to create events for them, then that's super fun. And so I was conformed for like a few years of like, oh yeah, this is a path. Like, you go in, you work hard, and then you got to level up and you get promoted, and then you bond with your coworkers. And I realized I started realizing it was not for me at the travel agency when I was spending more hours at the office than with my family. And that was the time during the pandemic that we got to work from home. And I was living at home with my mom and my siblings. And it was just so nice to be there all together during this time. And that's when I was like, oh wow, this time of freedom, like it's so nice. And then you're getting a paycheck and then you're still doing your work. And during that pandemic, I had this aha moment, like, wait, I want to start a business, but it wasn't even for myself. It was for my family in Nicaragua because I wanted to help them get income. I wanted to help them build their dreams. So I was thinking, like, how can I help them? Because sending over paychecks or sending over amounts, it's a short-term solution and it eventually leads to burnout. How can I help them become empowered so that way because they're savvy people, but they just need some resources. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a family business in Nicaragua. They're going to get the profit. I'm going to help them run it. I'll help them get started. And that's a long-term solution. And so I ended up going to Nicaragua as a digital nomad. I switched jobs out of the travel agency. I got this HR job and I was able to work from Nicaragua for a few months. And I spent time with my grandparents. And while I was there, my whole family lives together in this little section, 8 houses in one land. It's so
That's
awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So when I was there with my grandparents, they're like the matriarch and the patriarch. And I just got so close to my grandpa. And so that same year I saw him decay. Like he went from someone really savvy at 93 years old, remembered everything from 5 years old to his deathbed. And as I was seeing this process, I was like, wow, he's literally dying. And I had this idea of creating a celebration of life events company. Because I wanted in Nicaragua, when someone passes away, they get buried the day after. So it's really fast. There's no 2 week, 3 week. No, it's fast. And I was thinking wow, people don't have time to celebrate that person's life or make anything personalized. There's where's the customization? Everybody's life is so unique and different. And so since I knew my grandpa was passing away, I had custom buttons made. I made sure that they had my credit card. So I was like, go buy any food. Because when people come to your house, you have to feed them at the viewings. So I was like, go buy the rice, go buy anything that's non-perishable, have it ready because we know he's going to pass away. Let's make sure we take care of our aunts and uncles. I was talking to my cousins. And so, yeah, I had this idea. I was like, okay, I want to create the celebration of life events company because the funerals are way too fast. But you can create a celebration of life at any point, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so I had this, I was like, a great idea. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a small business. And I was like, wow, I've never thought about death. I never thought about death. And I was like, oh, wait, what if I buy a plot of land in Nicaragua and make a cemetery where people become trees? That's such a, eco-friendly way. It's a lot cheaper for the people. It's not bad for the environment, like caskets are. So that's where my thought process with death was. And then I remembered my old CEO had a product called Last Farewells. And I was like, oh, yeah, he was doing this a few years ago. And I messaged him for advice on starting a family business and working in death. And in that 30 minutes, he's like, oh, interesting idea. That sounds like a great idea. Why don't you come on board, revive Last Farewells, and then you can build this up. And then what you get from this, you can go back and fund what you want to do in Nicaragua. And so I was like, wait, what? I was just calling for family advice, advice on my family business, not to get offered as an entrepreneur co-founder. So I thought about it for a few months. But then, I'm telling you, it just made sense. When you know something makes sense for you, it just hits you. It's oh my gosh, this is why everything in my life has happened this way. It's the reason I went to go travel. After my dad passed away, I was like, life is short. I have no money, but I want to see the world. So you find a way. I got the student government loans. I got the scholarships. I took out credit cards. And, you made it happen. But even that throughout the process, there was just so much synchronicities that happened that one of them was my dad. He left behind a photo album that my grandparents gave me 2 years ago that they found. And it was pictures of him from 20 years ago. And it had inside of it words that said, so you can remember me forever. And he had the last index card. Again, he wrote, to my in-laws, so you can remember me forever, from someone who loved you like a son. And I was like, that's the only handwriting I have of my dad left. And so I was like, okay, the last photo album, this note. And then on top of that, his last voice message that he left me before he passed away, he tells me that he hopes a million angels look after me and that he loves me and that things are going to change soon. So I had these makings. So when Last Farewells comes in and my co-founder is like, yeah, you write your last letters, your last videos, your last audio messages, and then people can hear it later, after they pass away, and then it helps with the grief. I was like, done. I have this. I am proof that this was something I would support. Like, I am the market. I am the person who, like, I had all of this for 10 years. So yeah, anyways, all that to answer your question was that, like, I was okay with the 9 to 5 until one, I realized the higher purpose, one, was to help my family. And then two, because the mission resonated with me so much, it like, I had to do it. And it was a huge risk. I left my very cushy job with amazing benefits. And I took a huge pay cut to come and do this. And luckily I have some salary to keep me going, thanks to my co-founder. But it was a huge risk because I really believe in it. So even though it's been a huge roller coaster, I'm out here. We're out here because you believe in it. You got the passion. And with the passion, I feel like you attract the network and the people who just also want to support you. And then likewise, I met so many passionate people that be like, tell me, what do I need to do for you? Like, this is awesome. I want to support you. So anyways, I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did in a million different ways.
yeah, I just rambled.
No, but this is what's so great about it, because you're it shows your passion for your what you're doing with last fell well, because it is something that's super passionate. Like, I wish I had a last message from my grandparents who passed away when I was super young. Like, I have in my closet my grandfather's military uniform.
Oh, sick.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, that he was, because he was, well, it's more his dress uniform, not his actual military. It's the dress uniform. And that's like something really cool, but I don't have his voice anymore. I don't have my grandmother's voice, and I never met my my maternal grandmother. She passed away before my parents passed. But like, this is something that is like, it touches all of us who have lost someone, because it's like, it's great. This will help people. You have this chance to leave a message for future generations to hear your voice, leaving life lessons if you want, like, and my son may want to hear my dad's voice, and like, this is my dad. And so there's all it's an amazing thing that someone is concentrating on death, even though it's a kind of morbid area to be in. But you're at least bringing some kind of joy to it, even with your idea of a life party after a funeral. That's even taking a negative and putting it into a positive. And it's so interesting that you're able to look at that and see. It's a very good talent to have, not even a skill to have, to be able to transform those negatives into positives.
That's like Pitbull said that. my life from a negative to a positive. No, thank you. And I know the topic of dying is really hard. A lot of things going on in the world. It's very hard topic for one to even comprehend, especially about yourself. With Last Farewells, more so, we hope to create a cycle where people help each other create their last farewells. So you go to your parents, you go to your friends, the people you would want these last messages from, you encourage them. And it's a sign that, like, hey, I love you enough. Can you create this for me? Like, leave this behind for me, as just in case, or like as a tool for my grief. And I think hopefully that will just start this organic chain reaction of people just doing it beyond themselves because they want to leave it, but because someone encouraged them that, like, hey, I want this from you. So I think it's a really great reminder too, like, how far you've come in this life, and just a really good checkpoint. Like, you can always update the messages. You can go in and create new milestones. So you can record a video for a wedding or a birthday. And when you make new friends, like, you create it for them. So I think, yeah, what I love about Last Farewells is that it's not like, the will, like, which is just one standard document with immediate family mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with Last Farewells, you can create it for your neighbors, your community members, like your mentors, your teachers, people who normally would never hear from you, because it's just not this common standard right now. So it's an interesting process. I'm excited to see how it goes and how and the feedback and how we can pivot. But I think what we're trying to do is fill that emotional gap in end of life planning, which is primarily just focus on legal and financial at the moment, and the emotional aspects, they get kind of pushed aside. But at the end of the day, like, when someone passes away, yeah, they could have left you behind a lot of things. And as time passes on, like, what you are looking through is going through your phone and like looking through your photos and the memories and what was the last message they sent me. And sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's like going to the grocery store, or it ends in a fight. Like, I interviewed a bunch of people who participated in a grief survey of mine, and oh my God, 80% of them had told me that they had left off in a fight. and they had really regretted it. And that was the same case with me. I was really upset with my dad when he, a few days before he passed away. And when he called me, I saw him call 3 times, and I chose not to answer on purpose. I didn't miss the calls. I chose not to answer because of anger. And the next day, luckily, I was able to talk to him one more time, but it was very brief. I was very short. I was like, all right, dad, okay, yeah, I love you, bye. And then he passed away. And so, of course, there was so much guilt and so much remorse over not answering those calls, or over being so bratty with him. I didn't think he was going to die, or didn't know he was going to die. And so his message was such a reassurance to me, because he tells me that he loves me. And it was just a reminder that, like, okay, even at the end, like, he still loved me. And he died alone in a hospital, and we didn't find out until a day after. So there's always remorse with that too. Like, I don't want that to happen to anyone, or, like, there's so much. I just hope he knows how loved he was. So I've learned from that mistake, and now I'm trying to show up with my current family, people who are still alive, like my mom and my grandma, and really, really trying to show up as best as I can, especially as an entrepreneur, because you want to succeed with a business, but at the same time, like, shoot, my family's still alive. I got to cherish these moments. So I actually booked a flight. I'm leaving tonight to Nicaragua to go surprise my mom and my grandma for Mother's Day over there, which is tomorrow. And just spend 2 days with them and surprise them, for Mother's Day there, just so I can know that, okay, I'm trying to balance both. But I think in this entrepreneurial life, it's so easy to go in 100 miles per hour and then not stop and not take the moment to really appreciate the people that we have around us supporting us. So I'm really trying my best to be a conscious entrepreneur.
I like that, and it's very important, because sometimes we forget who helped us get to where we are, and without celebrating the past, and you're helping people remember their past and share those positivity with people they may not have realized, or people may not realize they touched. Like you mentioned, mentors, teachers, and stuff in your life, leaving these messages, which I think is incredible. I want to know if your extensive travels and experience in various roles helped you build that strong sense of empathy that shaped your approach to creating and make marketing last farewells.
Oh my gosh. Yes. A trillion percent. I was so shy. And when I was traveling, it was, oh gosh, I was so shy. But there were such amazing people that kind of took me under their wing. And so even just to all the countries I've traveled, 40 of them have been alone, and now 53 I've gone to. But I think me going around and meeting all the different cultures and going to the hostels and then doing the walking tours and then doing couch surfing and meeting the locals, like, I have some crazy stories. But overall, like, I've only two or three bad incidents have happened in the hundreds of times that I've traveled, which is amazing, because it shows, like, the kindness and the generosity of the world. And so I definitely, like, I realize I go to, especially the places that are still developing. I realize how much of first world problems I have. It really helps me put into perspective, like, why am I crying about this? Like, I should really be grateful. And that's why Last Farewells is so important for me. Like, we want to translate this to 100+ languages and dialects, because we know end of life planning is not accessible to a lot of people around the world. It's either not affordable, or it's never going to happen. Like, nobody's going to pay a lawyer X amount of money to deliver a letter for them in the future. Like, very rarely is that possible, and lawyers charge a ton. So Last Farewells, we want to make sure that this is accessible, that everybody has access to a free account that they can at least send 3 free messages, so, and create a memorial page so that they can actually have a piece of their life live on in the future. Because right now, really, like, as people pass away, it's just names, and then the names are forgotten, and then their whole story is forgotten. Unless they have access to money, or or were noteworthy in some kind of way, then their memory will live on. But I mean, everybody has someone who loves them, and everybody has someone who's going to grieve their death. So I think it's just not the common standard to try to make end of life planning accessible or available, even though it's a huge need. I
love that, and I hope your business becomes a crucial part of life planning, because it is something that, like you said, unless someone does something noteworthy, then there's a saying that you die 3 times. You die when you forget God or something like that, when you die physically, and then when it's the last time someone says your name, and having
Yeah.
something. I know I butchered the quote.
I know the concept. I saw Coco.
Right, the concept, and with this memorial page, you're allowing people to live on for eternity, because their name will never not be the last time, because someone's going to come across it, or a great grandchild could come across it, so their name is still spoken, and it's something forever. And how do you handle that kind of pressure?
Well, listen to me. It's not been easy. It's not been easy. You know why? Do you know why? It's because, well, okay, so I grew up, low income. My dad was a mechanic. My mom was a housekeeper. She still is. I grew up, with my parents trying their best. And then I just feel like I've been always in a survival mindset. And so now that I'm here, the pressure of being an entrepreneur is the pressure I'm adding on to myself, because I'm like, not only am I trying to survive, I'm trying to create something for so many people around the world, but I'm also like trying to create something that'll help me give back to my family financially. So I think there's just been a lot of pressure. It's not been easy. And the way I'm right now, I'm going through it is that sometimes I just have to remind myself, like, snap out of it. Like, it's like a mental slap, like a mental slap, meaning what I've been doing is sometimes when I'm in these cycles of like imposter syndrome or doubt, or like, can I do this? I do something so out of the ordinary for me. So it's either, all right, I have the power to get into my car and go jump in the ocean, or I have the power to go outside and literally go talk to 5 strangers and compliment them. Like, just snapping out of it, realizing I don't want to say I have control of my life, but I can do something to shift this energy and move this energy. So that's been the one that I've been liking the most. Like, even just, wow, I can actually just leave my phone and go out for a walk for 30 minutes. I think those little small breaks every day have really helped me like wake up. And I love the divine. I love coincidences, or what, or serendipity, whatever you'd like to call it. So sometimes I've been on these walks. I went on one the other day, no phone, and I turned the corner and I found a cancer support building. Like, they literally have a whole cancer, right 5 minutes from my house. I would have never known. So yeah, sometimes to handle it, like, I just like to remind myself that there's such a great feeling that it comes to actually like feel alive, and not just like that you're living your day to day and you're living through the motion of it, that actually like feel alive. I don't know if that makes sense. Other ways is honestly the networking. That's helped me out so much, because if I'm stuck in my room for multiple days in a row, I feel like, oh no, that's when all the doubt starts to creep in. But when I'm around people who've already built their businesses or are stages ahead of me, or are inspiring in other ways, it gives me a lot of momentum. So networking has been the best one to help me see how people have done it and that I can do it. Because sometimes people tell me what they've done. I'm like, wait, I could do that. Like, why the heck am I doubting this? What is this? Like, what is this? You cannot doubt. You cannot doubt. Like, there's so much things to do. I guess you got to girl boss it, right? Girl boss it up. But
there we go.
Yeah, just, I forgot your question. What was your question?
You answered it. It was, hold on. The empathy in your business with travel and all that. And,
wasn't it pressure? How do you handle pressure?
Oh, yes, how to handle the pressure. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was the question, probably. Yes. And I love how you answered it. Like, you were very honest. You told us how you take on more pressure because you have the pressure on yourself, for your family, and you take it on, and you just remember to girl boss it, go for a walk, and things will.
Yeah, I guess a higher level overview question of that, and of the answer to that question is, when I start thinking of the long term, like, oh my gosh, is this going to scale at 100 million? Is this going to have a billion users? That's when the imposter syndrome, like, I believe it, but also then it hits, like, can I do that? So then I scale it back and I'm like, wait, all I need to do is just help one person who's right now, ideally, help one person who's at the end of their life, who actually really needs this, who knows they're not going to be here, who wants a peace of mind. I can just help one person. Let me just start one by one. And so scaling it back to that smaller, like, what can I do today? What's an action I can do today that eventually hopefully adds up to get to that larger vision is also another thought process. It's a lot. I've been talking a lot to myself, a lot of mind games. It's
important, and it shows strong mental fortitude when you're able to do that. I'm wondering, because this is a podcast about investing in yourself, and from your experience, your most crucial investments, entrepreneurial, should make themselves to navigate the challenges starting. Whoa, wow, that was a mouthful. So it's investing in. You think I'd be better at these asking questions, right?
You're great.
Uh, in your, how do you invest in yourself? Like, what do you do to help yourself go to the next level of your journey whenever you need to upskill or just be a better version of yourself?
Oh my gosh. I grew up poor, but I've always, because of that, I have like this thing where it's like, you know what, the money will come back to me. The reason I was able to backpack all those countries and travel to when I was young, when in my earlier 20s, was I was like, you know what, I know future me got me. So future me is going to be rich. And if she could wire transfer $10,000 from the future, she would go on that trip and she would do that crazy thing. So that's why I've taken a lot of risk earlier on. And that's a form of investment. Those travels had really helped me learn a lot more across the world, take care a lot more of myself, like open my eyes. So that was a form of investment. In terms of like investing in entrepreneurship, there's so many different routes. Like you do not have to just pay like a course and oh my God, I need to learn this. Let me pay this course. I agree with that too. But there's so many different other ways. Like I've gone to so many different spiritual retreats or wellness retreats or like running functions. I ran a half marathon on a billionaire's backyard because I was part of his community. And oh my gosh, I met so many cool business owners from there. Like there's those moments when those opportunities come up, I like really look at it and I'm like, you know what, is this worth it? Like, will I meet someone? Will I make something happen? Like, will I make content for me? Like, it's going to come about this. I've really treated my life as like, you know what, future me got me, which I'm not saying go into credit debt, but also like, don't be so scared, because I think that scarcity mindset is what stops a lot of people from pursuing the things that like are really going to impact and change their life. Like I've quit jobs without having any backup jobs. When I quit my travel agency job, I didn't know if I was going to get the other job with the employee engagement. I applied, but I didn't know if I was going to get it. But I just felt so, I knew, you know, when things are not working for you. And when you know something that's not working for you, like, and you do not take action, like you're literally dying inside every hour. Like your time is going away. And so you have to make those changes. Like that's a form of investment too that doesn't cost money, is making a hard change or shift in your life, whether it's letting go of relationships or jobs that don't serve you anymore. Like that's a form of investment, because you finally made the decision to move forward in the direction of where you do see yourself. So I believe put things on the credit card responsibly. If you really know that, like, hey, I put this on my credit card, like this is do or die, like I got to make something come out about this. It forces you to change your energy. Like if I paid $500 to the event, you best believe like I'm gonna show up and give my best energy, because I didn't just go there to sit in a corner and then be shy. Like, yeah, that's my natural instinct. Like, yeah, let me just not talk to any. No, girl, you paid. It's on your credit card bill. I got interest. Like, so yeah, I've invested myself in a lot with experiences is what I'm trying to say. Like the experiences have been the most amazing thing, because the courses are great too, and they do teach you a lot. But I think just getting around the people too and having like direct access to certain networks has been the most helpful. And I think that's what's going to really help me level up with Ask for Wells, is that I've just networked across a bunch of different spaces that I have people I can tap into without it being very transactional. It's not like I'm just going to you because I know you can give me something. Like I've built these relationships and I've nurtured them. So you can start anywhere, even if you don't plan on starting a year from now. Like you can literally start nourishing those relationships anywhere.
Very, very wise words, I have to say, Estrella. With creating a network, because it's similar. I had a talk with a buddy of mine, and he was mentioning how before he made any money at the company he was working sales, he spent 3 months harnessing the network, building the network, so that he could, land those large contracts when they came. It's the same thing that you're doing. You're building that network, growing out that tree root, so that when the bamboo springs, it's going to be very, very tall.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end, which I hate because I'm having such a fun time chatting with you. I'm actually listening to you more than chatting. It's always great. Don't
take it up. Sorry, I should be
asking. No.
This is both ways. Look at me. I'm sorry.
I ask the questions and you talk, and that's the joy of this podcast.
Talk. See, you got me excited. That's the problem. Like when you ask me a question that lights it up, like I'm just off. You just stop me next time.
No, never. That's against the rules of being a good podcast host. It's like being a good host of a house. You don't cut your guest off in the middle of their conversation. But
wait. But back to the networking part. Like, I literally met you in a place that is not really considered networking, but it really is. Like, we met because of Yes Theory, and Matt was launching his book, and we met at the meetup that Yes Theory had at this meetup. And so by sitting next to you, look at what came about this conversation.
Yes.
Like, there was no, there was no like direct ads. It wasn't hard sales. Like, oh, let me try to like, no, it was just like, yo, what's up? Oh, hey, oh, you do this? Oh, cool. Like, oh, why don't you do, all right, podcast, nice. That was literally it. That was a form of networking and building a relationship. And had I not gone to that event, wow, this wouldn't be happening.
I was on the fence as well to go to the event. I was on the fence and I was like, no, I'm going to go.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. I'm disappointed. I should have gone to the one beforehand, but you know what? I still made it to this one and got to see the book launch, which was insane.
I wasn't even at the one beforehand. I don't know what you're talking about, but see, it was meant to be.
This was meant to be. So with that said, I have your 10-year-old self here. She's an amazing spitfire, very full of energy and life. What is one piece of advice you would love to pass back to your 10-year-old self?
Oh my God, no, she was shy. I don't know who you have. That's the wrong 10-year-old.
I gave her candy. She
like candy. Oh man, oh gosh. I would say like little Estrella, like you spent like you have so many years. Luckily, like at least you have 17 years more left to live, guaranteed. I know that. But in those 17 years, like there's going to be so many moments where the anxiety and the doubt are going to hit you. But if you really think about it, for what? Because that's just your mind self-sabotaging you and your happiness. Like you literally have the power to create the action that's going to make you feel like, give you a peace of mind. So I would really just suggest to yourself, like, please do not compare. Please do not compare. Like you're going to do these awesome things, but there's no point of it if you're not enjoying it in the moment. I've gone on these adventures, but now that I look back at it, was I really enjoying them in the moment? No, because I had anxiety or like doubt of what I was doing. And so I think you just need to trust yourself more. And that's the most basic advice, but like really just trust yourself more, and then hug your dad, hug your mom. Like, you're a great child already. You're very obedient, but to that point, don't people please anymore. Like, like this is your life. Please, it's all going to work out. Well, it's working out.
There you go. It's working out.
Yeah.
Estrella, I'm going to jump off screen here. I want you to let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, and support Last Farewells, because it's a great company to follow. So the floor is yours.
Thanks, everyone. So you can follow me on Instagram at Estrella Q95. I'm on LinkedIn. Hit me up there. Last Farewells is Last Farewells app. And our website is lastfarewells.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter for updates. Also, if anyone knows anyone who is terminally ill at this point, I would love at no cost to help them create their last messages through a Zoom session or in person if it's possible. But I just really want to offer that an invitation to someone who really needs the support right now. It'd be an honor to assist in this journey. So thank you all. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you again. And I look forward to many more chats in the future.
Wait, this was all about me, but I would love a minute. Can you just celebrate yourself? Like, what's something you've done? What's something you've done since the last time I saw you that you're just like, damn, I can't believe I did that?
I signed a client to be their marketer, to get them sponsors for their podcast. So that's exciting.
Do y'all hear that? Listen to me, people. If you want to build a podcast, what are you waiting for? This is Phil. Like, you got to trust the people who are just trustworthy, and Phil's one of them. So you heard that? He signed clients right there. God's traction. You're showing it works. Congratulations. That's awesome. Like you're doing the work. So
thank you. It's very
question. What would you tell your 10-year-old self?
Oh, I would tell my 10-year-old self, you're a God. You create the life you want.
Simple.
Very simple. You're a God. You create the life you want. So do whatever you want within the rules of law. But yes. I want to thank you so much, Estrella. It was fantastic talking with you again. I look forward to chatting with you again even sooner. Maybe not so many months between the chatting. But thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you so much. And thanks for my little mishap, y'all. Like I'm so terrible. He sent me the link to book the calendar, and I just never thought he replied. And then I realized months later, I'm like, oh, he did reply. I left him on Reddit for so many months. Like that's so embarrassing. But anyways, we're here on 29 that was meant to be on today. So thank you.
There you go. To my audience, check out the links down below for Estrella so that you can connect with her and all the wonderful stuff she's doing over with Last Farewells. I thank you so much for watching, and remember to always invest in yourself.
Truly.